So today's January 15th, 2025, NASDAQ. This is the naked chart on the 1 hour time frame. We had 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Core CPI news, which is right here, which when you look at what happened, it caused a very large opening range gap. Okay. So this large opening range gap, if it's something this large, it's most likely not going to get filled in, at least not right away. So we can expect higher price delivery. And then we're also in the line with this opening range gap, which you can say what I believe it was the consequent encroachment. I guess the upper quadrant consequent encroachment and to a degree the lower quadrant were used as support. And I think I'm going to be marking those up on my chart right now. So this is all the drawings. It's kind of a little bit hectic, but I'll explain everything real quick. So obviously this is irrelevant, but I marked up yesterday's low, Monday's low. Um, I thought we were going to be bearish, but obviously, the news came out. I'm like, okay, interesting. So green line is midnight opening range. So I want you to be mindful of these levels right here. So this is the opening range gap low, lower quadrant of the opening range gap, consequent encroachment of today's opening range gap, upper quadrant of opening range gap of today. And then we have the opening range gap high, which is where price opened at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, this orange level is Friday's opening range gap, which was unfilled. So when CPI came up, it was aiming for, I guess, obviously all of today was aiming for the closure of Friday's opening range gap. So the top of the box is opening range gap high, upper quadrant, consequent encroachment, lower quadrant, and the low of the box is the opening range gap low for Friday. So, that's where Friday's first presented fair value gap. This white line is a daily SIBI premium high in the daily time frame. Go to look at that. This white line is 50% of the daily SIBI, and then we have ourselves the daily SIBI discount low. And of course, today's price action targeted the last 1, 2, 3 days price action to attack Friday's high. And then if I'm not mistaken, this level is the daily. So this level is, oh, yeah, okay, cool. So that's this level, this daily fair value gap right there. That's what price tapped today. So interested to see price action tomorrow. But that's pretty much all of that. Those are pretty much my PDRAs if you're an experienced astute ICT trader for quite a while like myself for 5+ years, then you'll know what I'm talking about. But nonetheless, 9:30 a.m. opening happens over here. Okay. And then obviously CPI came, boom, right away closed and tapped into the upper quadrant of the Friday's opening range gap, and it immediately just rebalanced that. And then the opening range gap for price at the moment was this level right here. So price opened here, shot down, almost went to the upper quadrant of the opening range gap, almost. Okay. And then it went up to attack the it closed the Friday's opening range gap, which is the top box of this of Friday's opening range. So the right there, it's not colored like orange, but it's the high of the box. We almost tapped into the higher upper quadrant of the opening range gap today after opening, and then we immediately went up and to close the opening range gap for Friday, tapping into Friday's buy side liquidity. And then when it did that, of course, we have ourselves a 5 minute fair value gap. It didn't tap it there, but I think, hold on, I think I do remember one. Yeah, so this was a solid one. I'll get into the 1 minute in a sec, but you know, 5 minute time frame opening range gap came into the upper quadrant of today's opening range gap pretty much up, took out Friday's high, retraced a little bit into the consequent encroachment of Friday's opening range gap, which is the orange dotted line, and then tapped the open of today's opening range gap, went higher, 5 minute fair value gap, expansion, taking out buy side liquidity for the day, and then just kind of working Friday's high, and then tapping into the daily city right there um, on the daily time frame that I showed you guys. But real quick, 1 minute time frame again. Core CPI news came out, closed, tap into the upper quadrant of Friday's opening range. Um, Friday's new day new day opening range gap. Dear Lord. So um, price action opened up at 9:30 a.m. Okay, we came down into um, let's see. Yeah, so price opened, went up a little bit, tapped into Friday's consequent encroachment, opening range gap, displacement, tapping into the daily CB premium high. Okay, so now we're below today's opening range gap, just teasing the upper quadrant coming up. 1 minute fair value gap, institutional order flow entry deal displacement to take out buy side liquidity and to finally close the high of the opening range gap on Friday. And then we took out Friday's high and then we kind of worked our way down. Um, what I would have liked to mark up is this is pretty good to mark up. I like the city right here, you know, just screams pick me. Let's just say, if you know, you know. But we tap into that, and then we kind of played around in that range, and then boom, we take out buy side liquidity here. Okay, above this high in the 1 minute displacement fair value gap. Um, inside of this BISI, okay, and then displacement right there. That is a nice move. And then actually, this move as well is looking at the chart. We tapped into a 1 minute fair value gap high to come down, and then a breaker as well. I believe this would be a breaker. I think it'd be constituted a breaker high, low, higher, high. It could be, I believe. ICT if you see this, but I'm pretty sure nonetheless. So 1 minute fair value gap high, displacement, okay, down into Friday's consequent encroachment of the opening range gap on Friday for the middle, for the orange dotted line. But again, coming down into the new range opening gap of the day today, we tap into that and then we displace higher. This was that 5 minute fair value gap, but we took out sell side liquidity tapping into the opening range gap of the day. And then I didn't take any of these, but I saw them happening. 30-minute fair value gap right there, expansion, and then it worked the way up. And this again is that 5 minute fair value gap that I showed you guys, and then it worked its way up. 1 minute fair value gap right there, institutional order flow individual expansion. And then yeah, I mean it tapped the daily fair value gap high or the daily fair value gap low right there. Boom, first tap of it, leaving a fair value gap right here. Could have been a seller in here, taking out sell side liquidity, market maker sell model. And then yeah, that's kind of the sauce for the day. So, these opening range gaps really make a huge difference in my analysis, especially with this 2025 mentorship. So I hope you guys take advantage. Cheers.